I love buying cheap storage and combing through it in search of treasure. Old software, deleted files, maybe even lost media. This is Archive Dive. Welcome back. At the time of recording, we've hit 10,800 subscribers. I'm locking in. Archive Dive isn't going anywhere. I've had my fair share of USB sticks over the past couple of months. Items obtained through sex, acquisitions from local businesses, from charity shops, eBay, and online sellers. And to be honest with you, the well of discoveries quite often runneth dry. When I show you something interesting, please know that I also encounter plenty of things that aren't so interesting. For every bit of exciting mythic loot, there's mountains of grey loot. Such loot includes DLL files, text files containing junk or corruption, Windows config files, XML files, software icons, social media post thumbnails. So many of these USB sticks die in one way or another too. The data gets corrupted, the chip controller throws a fit and packs up, or the media becomes read-only. I swear I've had just as many die on me as I have had working ones since starting Archive Dive. It just seems prone to happening when you're exploring hardware already on its last legs. The last scenario, the USB becoming read-only, is what unfortunately happened with this House of Green USB stick. When you put it in the computer, you can't write to it anymore. I've tried it on Windows 10, I've tried it on Windows XP and Linux Mint, I've tried making changes in my Windows registry to force the ability to write to this thing, and still no dice. This thing is not writable anymore. But that's just writing. The files it held are still buried in its empty space, and that data is somehow still accessible. And said data leads us down quite the rabbit hole. Was it made unwritable on purpose? To hide trade secrets? Oh, what a fun imagination I have. This fried bamboo stick has buried data that leads us to a location in Shanghai with a pretty interesting history. The site of a tragedy where over 1,000 people died in a misdirected friendly fire attack. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. What about this magnificent design? The tasteful bamboo outer shell. The practical yet simplistically elegant magnetic lid. The magnet makes it so not only the lid snaps on cleanly, but you can also attach the USB stick to just about any magnetic surface, including the fridge. This might be in my top 3 USB stick designs, up there with the Cruiser Fit and the Saints Row 2 Bullet USB. The bamboo-style USBs are sold by many companies worldwide, but this House of Green one was most likely sold by a Danish company called Loreco specifically. I knew I'd seen the name somewhere. My workplace has Loreco whiteboard markers. They're a supplier of in-bulk office products for businesses. You can get these bamboo USB sticks in 4 storage capacities, 16, 32, 64, and 128 gig nowadays. This one was lower though, I think maybe 8 gig. You can also order them blank, or request to have your logos and branding printed on them. I could get some Archive Dive ones made up, but you have to order at least 100 at a time. Maybe when we get a little more clout. Why do I think Loreco printed these House of Green USB sticks? Well, House of Green is an interactive showroom and visitors center in Copenhagen, run by State of Green. They're a partnership between the Danish government and 3 business associations: Green Power Denmark, the Danish Agriculture and Food Council, and Danish Industry, focused on renewable energy and keeping Denmark green and healthy. It makes sense they'd choose a more local company to provide their USB sticks, and the choice of bamboo means that more of its components are biodegradable, having less of an impact on Man-Bear-Pig. I know what you're possibly asking yourself. Maybe. And that's, why exactly does Archive Dive have one of their USB sticks? I know it's a cop-out answer, but things just end up in my lap sometimes. Don't think too hard about it. Given who State of Green is, and the material this USB is made from, the contents that I recovered from this memory stick are starting to make more sense. There's a PowerPoint presentation here, along with photographs, and a video. The video goes over the history of a location in Shanghai, China, and the presentation is connected to a special week-long celebration and event that took place there. Bamboo USB stick, Chinese presentation. Chinese bamboo is very strong. When you think China and the words the Great, you probably think of the Great Wall. I mean, it's a pretty good wall, I suppose. Maybe not a great wall. But there's also the Great World of China, known more colloquially as the Saiga. The Great World is an amusement arcade in Shanghai. The building houses a massive entertainment complex, and its structure and design is based on European Baroque architecture. And isn't it a bit early in the day to be talking about Baroque architecture? It opened in 1917, and according to film director Josef von Sternberg, during a 1930s visit to the Great World, it had everything from earwax extractors, to ice cream parlors, to peep shows, mirror mazes, tightrope walkers, and massage benches. Sounds like it would have been a fun place in its heyday. It housed amusement arcades, it had rooms where visitors could play group parlor games, a match or two of Xiang-Qi, or watch a spot of traditional Chinese theatre there. But not long after that visit, as I alluded to earlier, the Great World was the site of a misdirected attack that ended up causing 1,200 deaths in 1937. A pilot let go of bombs early, likely intended to take out a Japanese Imperial Navy flagship, instead striking the location by mistake, taking out passers-by, shoppers, and both Chinese folks and foreign refugees alike. That's not the end of its history. Not by a long shot. The Great World would exchange hands and be renamed multiple times, but was re-established under its original name in the 1980s. And then the SARS epidemic in 2003 caused the place to close. But eventually it reopened on its 100th anniversary in March 2017 and has remained open since then. I share its history with you because it had its 100th year in 2017, which was a prestigious event. On this USB stick is a presentation relating to a fair held shortly after its 2017 grand reopening. What are the chances of getting my hands on something rare like this? I honestly don't know. Maybe I've got a full 10 in my luck special. The Sino-Italian Craft Week. This was a cultural exchange event held at the Great World, where 30 master artisan businesses from Tuscany and Florence were in attendance, selling leather goods, textiles, jewelry, and ceramics, alongside Chinese businesses which were also in attendance. This event was a great networking opportunity. So the existence of this presentation on the House of Green USB stick kinda makes sense. Somebody associated with State of Green must have attended the event, or may have even been involved with the event in an official capacity. This is where I would email them and ask them. But I'm not actually that invested. I like to get just far enough down a rabbit hole that I can still pull myself out, you know? The video on this USB stick is around 3 minutes long and contains an English voiceover along with subtitles in both English and what appears to be simplified Chinese. A voiceover, rather unenthusiastically, makes the bold claim that you haven't been to Shanghai if you haven't visited the Great World.
You cannot claim to have been to Shanghai if you haven't visited the Great World.
Well, it's certainly starting to look that way. I haven't been to Shanghai, and I haven't visited the Great World. It goes over much of the history I've already shared, though conveniently missing out the tragedy that had occurred there, for obvious reasons. Well, if you're trying to convince people to come to your newly refurbished Inherited Cultural Heritage Center, you probably don't want to remind them of a time when your military showed incompetence. The video becomes more of an overview of what the Great World offers today, from its exhibitions, shows, teaching, digital elements, let's be real, what I'd be going there for, the delicacies. Monsieur, you hungry? It's a fun video to fill a couple of minutes, but the presentation also needs a quick skim, since the video was broad, and it has greater ties to the actual event that took place in 2017. The presentation goes as follows. The first slide shows opening ceremony, along with the Creative Twin Cities connection, which I assume to mean Shanghai, China, and Florence, Italy, based on the Officina Creativa by Art in the top right, referring to the Italian leather footwear brand. The Italian connection is further enforced by Toscana, referring to the Tuscany region of Italy. Slide 2 is a picture of the Great World's massive hall, where the presentation likely took place. Slide 3 is identical to Slide 1. Slides 4 and 5 show the pictures and names of important attendees at the presentation. For the sake of the video, I've obscured these, but the 4th slide contains the Italian representatives, and the 5th slide shows the Chinese representatives. Slide 6 shows artwork depicting the Sichuan opera, and then the 7th and final slide is almost identical to slides 1 and 3, though the opening ceremony text appears slightly lower. A couple of photos on this stick I have managed to find online, so they are part of the public record, but I'm hesitant to show them, since it would give the less scrupulous ammunition with which to harass the people in these images. Also, just because they're part of the public record in China doesn't necessarily make them part of the public record everywhere. Besides, I'm sure the person in these photographs has much more important things to do than field questions about some dumb YouTube video or get hurled abuse at them by random folks on the internet. Most of the photographs on this stick prominently feature an individual involved with China and UK relations, and I do wonder if I somehow managed to get my hands on one of that person's USB sticks in particular. Since they're all photos taken in a professional setting with a Nikon 2300, fancy camera, I have reached out to the individual through LinkedIn to see if they would like a copy of them. And I will not share any more of the materials from the USB until I have the go-ahead to. Due to the weekly episode deadline, I have to put a pin in this and return to it if and when I get the go-ahead. You never know what you're going to find buried on a USB stick. This was, as far as I can tell, a one-time event held shortly after the Great World reopened. A brief moment in history, hiding just under the surface on a second-hand USB. I wonder how many USBs might have similar presentations on them, only to be disposed of once an event is over. Fleeting flash storage memoirs of a likely long-forgotten event in the business world. It's a shame that for every find like this, there's a heaping of blank USBs, dying USBs, or USBs that just have generic audio files on them. Shockingly common. Archive Dive will continue sifting through the grey loot to bring you the gold. Since I looked and could not find the 3-minute video on YouTube, I will be uploading a re-encoded version of the video to YouTube and to the Internet Archive for preservation. Since it doesn't directly feature any identifiable professional persons, we should be okay. Those who wish to dive a little bit deeper down this rabbit hole will have a good foundation to start from, and perhaps there's some folks in Denmark who can shed light on the House of Green Great World connection in the comments. Just please, don't harass anyone. Personally, I think I'm done with the mystery. I have a good feeling I know who the previous owner of this USB stick is, and until I get a response from them, I'm hesitant to reveal that information, since you never truly know the context for why these kinds of USB sticks end up floating out there in the world. I'd hate to have somehow acquired this data through unintentionally nefarious means, or if the person is a target of some shadowy organization, I don't exactly want to give them any new information to go on. A quick shout out to our paid supporters over on Patreon, YouTube channel members, and other benefactors. Matthew Cooper, Maddie Shaw, Gorham Gamer, Adam Devine, Mr. Derp, Garlips, Devender. Thank you for your patronage. Speaking of USBs with uninteresting finds, part 1 of the Sex Challenge has a USB stick with audio recordings of, well, that would be telling. Prepare to be as disappointed with those finds as I was by clicking the video on screen now. Or check out the other channel for live streams and a bingeable back catalogue of gaming videos. I've been Escape Route British, you've been watching Archive Dive. Until next time, if we live that long.